Okay, let me have your bat. And let's talk about hitting and about batting and things of this nature. How you stand at the plate. Stand comfortably. 6 feet by 4 feet. The inside line is 6 inches from home plate. First batter, second batter usually wipes them out. You've seen that happen. And nobody seems to say much about that. It just happens to go that way in baseball. But anyway, don't stand so far back that you can't reach the front corner. Don't stand so close to the pitcher because you're cutting off the distance and gives you a little less chance to look at the ball. Um, Stand far away from the plate so you can swing the bat, so to speak, hit the ball what we call the sweet wood down here, not here, here. Now that's a big contrast with aluminum bat. They hit the ball in any old place and get a hit. They don't break the bat with aluminum bat,
Right.
and they're liable to get a hit, and they do. And it's pretty hard to see yourself hit the ball. I don't think many people can do that.
Right.
See the ball come off the bat.
Right.
Some people say they can. Some people write about it. They've heard about people who do it. I don't know, and I'm not going to even talk about that because I don't think there's enough documentary evidence of batters being able to see the ball.
I've always tried, but I can't say I've ever
No.
actually seen the ball come off the bat.
And actually what happens is that many of our players, by virtue of the fact that they recognize that their hand-eye coordination, along with their ability to find the ball on its way to the plate, isn't nearly as good as some major leaguers who can watch the grass grow, so to speak. As a result, they sometimes swing prematurely, and they start too soon. That means they don't see the ball at the last 20, 30, 40 feet. They see it come out of the hand. You got to remember we're talking about, as you mentioned once, 3 point something or other, about 4.4 tenths of a second from the time the ball is delivered to the plate. And that, now your head, your eyes, have to see the ball, telegraph that one way or the other to the brain, which in turn telegraphs that to the body, which in turn gets to the hands finally, and the rest of the body in a rather almost simultaneous moment of truth. And those hands now have to do something which is unique. They have to go back before they go forward in order to accelerate the bat. You don't see a boxer go like that except when they're doing that jabbing and not hurting but to keep people away.
Right.
But the knockout blow is from the nipple over the back foot. From the nipple over the back foot. Boom, boom. Now that's a key. You want to remember that particular short sentence, from the nipple over the back foot, because that pretty well tells you if you can do that quick enough without starting late or starting prematurely, the longer you're going to see the ball. If you can wait and wait and wait, and then you have to go all the way back. You can't go back slowly and stop. You can't go back halfway and stop. You can't go back here and do this with your glove, with the bat. That's extraneous or an additional motion that inhibits the acceleration of the bat. Anything that inhibits the ability to throw the bat, to pull the trigger, anything that does that lessens your ability to hit the ball because your bat's going to be here, but it's never going to be here, and here. Now, if the bat's in this position, I'm a right-handed hitter. If the ball's thrown middle in, from the middle of the plate, 17 inches wide, to the inside, that's usually the power alley for most hitters. And they got what we call bat extension. And good pitchers don't want you to get bat extension. So the fastball comes in here across the hands frequently if they can throw hard enough. Now, if they can't throw hard enough, some of the hitters, and I have some feeling about this, we take batting practice at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. We throw from 40 feet behind the yellow screen. We go like that. People say that's how you gain timing. I don't agree with that. I think if anything, it's a regressive tool in learning how to hit, or a regressive symptom of not being able to hit well, because how do you speed up the bat and your eyes and your whole reaction, the reaction to the ball when it's coming at 80 miles an hour instead of 40. And they're throwing at 40 feet. I want to see someone 40 feet when he's throwing like that throw a slider. If I can't hit a slider, am I going to hit a slider at 40 feet in practice like that? We all say perfect practice makes perfect. We used to say perfect practice makes perfect. Is what you search for. No, perfect practice makes perfect. And in order to get that final skill, timing, I think you have to practice what you're going to do in the game.
Practice what you play.
Right. We call it muscle memory. We call it anything you want, but it's a habit. In order to get that habit, you have to swing the bat pretty well like you do in the game, and see the ball pretty well like you do in the game, and watch the pitcher throw the ball pretty well like in the game. Now, when does the ball curve? In high school, it curves like that. There aren't very many sliders in high school. And if they throw a little ball with a, they call it a two-seamer or a four-seamer, it does, maybe has a little tail to it. But even in our kind of ball, by the time the ball gets to the plate or near the plate, that's when it does that boom.
Yeah.
And that's when it does this or that or whatever it is. Split finger, fork, call it you want. Carl Hubble threw the pitch when he could go like that.
Yeah,
like
screwball.
That, screwball. Whatever it was, it doesn't do anything until it gets to the plate. Except, or near the plate, except the knuckleball. It starts moving somewhat before that, and nobody can watch it and see it all the way because it does strain. You see them strike out in the big leagues and look like children playing baseball with a bat for the very first time in their life. Anyway, the important thing is to learn how to eliminate all extra motion. You don't want to go halfway back. You don't want to go slowly. You don't want to do this right before you hit, or this, or that, or anything. You don't want to curl the bat around your neck, like some hitters do. And here's why that happens many times. If you watch the little leaguers, and the high school players, and some major leaguers, the film, as they show the pitcher and the batter, they show the batter at bat. He's standing like that. Where does the camera go before the ball is delivered? It goes out to the pitcher. And no one sees this. So some people think you swing from up here. Well, if your ball's being delivered from here to about here, how are you going to hit the ball if you're swinging from up there?
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense to get the bat down near the top, in the middle, towards the top of the strike zone, where your nipple is. And you try to keep the bat in the plane of the ball. Now you're going to tell me, you know, Joe Bonacek plays with the Eagles or the Orioles or whoever it is. He swings like this. Well, that's fine. He's got Toronto or Montreal, Chicago, and you've got the Twin Street Tigers.
Right.
And I tell the players, you know, think of this as a 10-story building, and you're in the first story. And you want to go from the first story to the 10th story immediately, because that's the way you're emulating, imitating, replicating, whatever, that major leaguer who is your idol. And you'll mention, but Biggie Bedoin, he starts at the head of the bat. Well, sure he does. But he can get it down, and he's ready. And he can watch the grass grow. You know, I don't think you can do that. So when you're a pitching coach at this level, particularly at this level, you're invading their security. You're uncovering the security blanket. They've been successful ever since they were 8 or 9 or 10 years old. We've talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
For the last 10 or 11 or 12 years, since they got to be 18, they've been successful. And for a lot of different reasons. The pitching was not very good. They could get by with a slower bat. They didn't play night ball so much. Here at best, you only see the top half of the ball. You don't see it like in the major leagues as well. There's more ball to see in the major leagues, I would have to believe. There aren't lights from the ground, but I think you will. And also in college, particularly college, who is the scorer? It's usually a local guy who maybe is a junior or senior in school. He loves the game, and they let him become the scorer because, oh, yeah, I love baseball. I love baseball. I know how to score. Okay. You don't have to pay him $10 a game so he's a scorer. So when anybody on his team at home gets a dubious, could have been fielded but wasn't hit, it's a hit. And then with aluminum bat, you swing and you duck out of the way and your head goes out here. We'll talk about that in a moment, where the head belongs. It hits the bat. The ball hits the bat. You don't hit the ball. We have some players here, I won't say this in public, because the only way they're going to get a hit, because they swing in the same plane, is when the ball hits the bat. And that's unfortunate, because they can't make that adjustment quick enough. Going back now to some of the things on hitting, it's important that you keep your head still. That means don't take a step before you hit. Some hitters do.
Don't take a step.
Don't take a step with your front foot towards the hitter, towards the batter. I mean, towards the pitcher. Because when you do that, it's just like this. What's happening to your head?
Drops.
It drops. Now, it's tough enough to see a moving ball. You want to compound that with a moving eye. Plus, you shorten the distance to the pitcher.
Right.
And you can't hit the inside pitch ever again. Because when you move forward, you carry your weight and your hands to the front of your body towards movement of the front foot. That means there's no weight in the back foot to make that turn. We call it belly hitting. I'll illustrate that for you. Belly hitting, when you have to turn the back foot in order to get the bat here. That means shoulder turns, you make the turn, and the bat's in this hand. It helps get the bat through in the inside pitch by that little action with the back foot. We call that various things like squashing the bug, putting the cigarette out, putting out a little bug in its eye, anything that makes a person visualize. I try to teach and have them visualize, besides hearing me, to illustrate what I'm talking about as best I can, so that we now have two things working, eyes and ears, two senses, rather than just in a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
You just spit out the information, and you can't really tell if there's any reaction, because all they do is get up and walk out of the classroom.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, they don't have to get up and swing a bat or do anything that involves hand-eye coordination. That's why I feel soccer is a great game, but it'll never become very popular for a lot of different reasons. One, it's not as violent as football, and it doesn't move with the hands. The only person that has use of the hands are the goalie, or the overhand pass out from the outbound into the game, in the ball field. And I don't think that people in this country will ever buy into that. They have not as yet, even with, what's his name, Beckham?
Yeah, Beckham.
Yeah, Beckham. He can draw, but that'll wear off. That'll wear off. But after a while, you're going to see other people look just like Beckman. Where's Beckman now? We're all running the same way, and now and then he does something that is superior. But he's going to get a little older, and each year he's going to run a little slower.
Well, it's not an American sport.
And it is an American sport.
I mean, baseball, you have to win as a team, but perform as an individual.
Yes,
and that's American.
Collectively and individually.
Right.
Yes, it reflects on a philosophy we have in our society, you know. Being individuality, initiative, all these things we talk about, you know. The ability to lead the troops in battle when the captain falls. Somebody takes the guidon and the flag and goes out in front. And we often talk about other societies that are not as democratic in concept, you know, where they have one leader giving all the words and everybody falls in line without thinking. We say that they don't have that. Russia, China, they have colonels and majors and sergeants too. I don't know how well, but they, you know, we often say that, look at the Japanese, they all line up and they all do the same exercise. Well, they sure are turning out an awful lot of musicians. And they're playing different notes and swinging different instruments. So I don't know if that was always a good analogy. I've often heard that, you know, that we encourage creativity and individuality. I remember I was teaching school, the principal was a good friend of mine. He says, let the children talk more. And I said, I got 2 degrees in education. Don't you think I know a little bit more about what they know at 11, 12 years old? Yeah, but they got to express it. Well, they express themselves now. You can't shut them up. Am I right? You can't shut them
Yeah.
up.
Right.
And sophomores in particular in college.
Oh,
They
and
know
high
it
school
all.
too. Yeah.
And in high school. But anyway, so going back to some things we talked about, we also talk about when you're at the plate, you only step one place, and that's back towards the pitcher. There was a philosophy once you step to hit. Ball on the outside, you step a little to the outside. Ball on the inside, you step opened up a little bit. Then it became, through experimentation, I'm sure, empirical method, whatever, that you don't have time to do that. All you have time to do is step in the direction of the ball, of the pitcher, or don't step at all. And now we find that watch the feet of the major leaguers ignore, obliterate the top of the body. Look at the feet, you'll be surprised at how many hitters don't move their feet at all. And if they do, foot goes up, the foot goes down, or it might go forward, yay much, but the body stays back, and the head and the hands are still until they attack the ball.
You remember Paul Molitor?
Oh yes,
He's the first guy I remember seeing do that.
yeah.
He stayed still
That's right.
the whole time and just brought
That's
the
right.
bat through the zone.
And will be a Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
or is, I don't know.
Right. I think he is.
Yeah, and Molitor just kept hitting and hitting and hitting. Carew kept hitting and hitting. Charlie Gehringer kept hitting. And they're all up there like that. They don't do all that
And every swing looks the same.
all the time.
Yep.
Now that's the most unusual thing is like Tony Gwynn, 7 championship, batting champion.
Uh-huh.
In the wintertime, he watched every film of every game over and over and over again. Like when Mickey Mantle went in slump, and everybody had an idea. Here, Mickey, this is what you do. Hands are too high. You get your pants are not adjusted right. You know? Your cup's in the wrong side. Right. Or, you know. And finally, his wife, who didn't know too much about baseball, she said, you know, I don't see the whole 7 nearly as much as I used to. Or you'll see a 32-year-old batter in a slump. He gets traded to another team. The other team now has Billy Bedoin going as a hitting coach. And he'll say, well, since I came over here with the 10th Street Tigers, Billy Bedoin, now the hitting coach, has lengthened my stride and had my lower of my hands. He's been the ball usually 10 years, you know. And now I'm hitting the ball and I'm seeing the ball. You hear that all the time.
Right.
Well, I hope the coach is good and he found that out and Billy joined the crowd. But, you know, when hitters go in slump, they try everything too. And all the ball players are telling you, do this, do that, do this. Well, there are 10 ways to skin a cat. There is no such thing as this is the only way. Or these are the 2 ways. There are only certain cardinal rules in baseball that I know of. When the ball is hit to the left of the pitcher, you go to first base. The pitcher goes to first base. That kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Cardinal rule. There's no exception. And I don't know any other rules that are so set in concrete like that. There are other little cliches we use, you know, call for the ball, outfielder coming in goes a lot faster than the outfielder going, the infielder going back, but you got to communicate.
Right.
That's a terrible problem. When I was a little boy, there were 2 infielders in the big leagues. Both of them collided in 1 year, not with each other, but with an outfielder. One was Joe Orango, played with the Cardinals, and I think the other one was Crespi, Frankie Crespi maybe.
Okay.
Broke their legs and never really played much after that. I know it was because it was bad surgery, or not
Right.
as good as today, but that hampered their ability to run perhaps that much, and you know how we measure running now.
Right.
Everybody's got a watch. You know, that's another thing I don't understand. I've never carried a watch. I'm not being belittling carrying a watch. You always have something hanging out the back, you know, the strap. If I know a runner, don't tell me how fast the catcher can throw the ball at second base. Because there are too many variables or factors. How did he receive the ball? How long the pitcher took to deliver the ball to play? Was it an off-speed pitch that came to play a little later than a fastball? Did the runner get a good start? Can a runner run? You know, all these things mix in, like in making a cake. You know, you got to consider all the little things that go into the total baking the cake. Well, if I know a guy can run, and I think a pitcher, and percentage-wise, it doesn't look too quick to the plate with a man on, and the catcher isn't, he doesn't throw as well as Bill Dickey did, or as quickly as some of the great catchers. He probably, in a certain situation, might steal second base. But we don't do that in baseball. We have computers and bench coaches.
Yeah, the bench coach.
Yeah.
I don't know what the manager does
Well,
anymore.
That's right. But we know that Willie Bedoin is next up. And we know that Willie, now it's July, on April 17th, he stole second base. Now, the clouds were lower in the sky, and the wind was coming east by southeast. And there was a shadow over right field, and we know that we got it all statistically planned. The percentages, we don't have to know anymore. We don't have to know that if you bunt a man with one out, you probably won't score nearly as many runners as if you bunted with nobody out. So you don't bunt very much with one out, because you've given up a precious out.
Right.
With none out, now you got 2 outs. With nobody, with somebody on first, and you're at bat, and you get the bunt sign, you're saying to yourself, I gave the home run. The manager taking the bat out of my hand on this next pitch. You bunt him up. Now he's in scoring position. He would have been before, but 2 outs, his chance of getting knocked in aren't nearly as great as with one. We know that if you walk, that your chance of scoring are much higher with nobody out, the lead off hitter in the inning, than the man coming to bat with 2 outs. So those are percentages. I don't see many coaches understanding what I'm talking about.
Even in the majors.
Oh, I know. I see things happening. I talked to Chuck Manuel when he gave a talk at Eastern Mennonite, and I said to him afterwards, all over, and he was walking out, Mr. Manuel, I notice in the big leagues sometimes in a bunt situation, they aren't bunting when they probably could advance a runner. And he said 2 reasons. The guy doesn't bunt well, and the runner doesn't run well. See, I don't know that,
Uh-huh.
but he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't using percentages, and he used the percentage. Now let's go back to hitting technique. When you're at bat, you want to take the same position the defensive back does in football, not as exaggerated, but an athletic pose, where your knees are bent slightly and your weight slightly forward. So instead of standing straight up, you're just fractionally forward.
Slightly
Just
forward.
Just slightly forward. So if you're looking at your at bat here is right in here, and you're going to look at the fence, if you look straight ahead or the dugout, you'd be tilted just fractionally. Now where do you hold your hands? You hold them from the nipple, right here, and you don't hold the bat here. You hold the bat here. That's right. You hold the bat here, it's got to come down here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessary to hold the bat up here and do this. Some people do, and they're going to get caught in between.
Yeah.
If you're going to do anything, you can do this, The other thing is, don't keep your elbow up. Nobody can swing and swing like that. The elbow's got to come down. Another extraneous, additional, keep it down.
Keep it down.
Sure.
I was always taught to keep it up.
Oh, yeah?
Well, sure. When we keep it up, what are you going to do with it anyway?
Drop
Why, sure.
it. Yeah.
Does that take some time?
Absolutely.
Anything.
Precious time.
Anything that takes the most minute fraction of a second inhibits your bat from being here and here, just right in there.
And that's what we call bat speed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because if it takes a
Acceleration.
tenth, you've only got 4/10,
That's
so you
right.
just wasted 25% of your time.
If you take a fraction of a tenth, the bat's going to be here. Look how many hits we get to the opposite field in our team.
Uh-huh.
Why do you think that? They'll say, well, they're not pitching me inside. They're pitching inside. You never even move on the ball. On the outside pitch, the bat's back. I'm a left-handed hitter. Where am I going to hit the ball if I'm going to go to left field? Where's it going to go? It's going to go there.
Uh-huh.
Now, the bat's got to come all the way around to go here. And that's the power area for all of us. Our own field. Right-handed hitter goes to left field. left-hand hitter goes to right field. That's where you finish up the full arm extension with the bat.
Mm-hmm.
It's as easy as that. Sounds awfully easy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm fascinated by the idea that your weight is slightly on the front foot because
Well, it's not on the front foot, it's on both feet. The weight is just slightly forward, not on.
and I'm going to violate one of the rules you said.
Yeah.
But the only guys we ever see, of course, are on TV in the majors, and you see so many that look like they're just loaded up on the back side.
Well,
Is that an illusion, or are they just good enough they can shift that weight forward at the right instant?
they shift the weight, but they're not nearly as on the backside as you think.
Okay.
Because if you're here, you're not going to hit from back there where you're going to hit. You're going to be hitting here. So from here to here, you have to get that involved in the swing too. You don't know where the ball is going
Right.
until it's almost on top of you. If you're a guess hitter, you guess a pitch. No, you can guess a location. Hard to guess a pitch. So some of them look like that because the foot goes up and down just a little, but the weight and the body stay just as still as that bat standing right now.
Okay.
The
I'm
more
going to look
move-
for that. That's
Sure.
fascinating to me.
The more movement, the more trouble.
Uh-huh.
Now, some guys are so good they can move from here to here slightly, and they're ready to attack the ball. But the major leaguer is so good, we don't realize how quick.
Yeah.
And we don't realize, as I say, and I exaggerate, they can watch the grass grow, and the rest of us can't even come close. Can't even come. Look at all the players that level out here in our league. They hit 350. What did you hit this spring? I hit 360. What did you hit last year? Well, I hit 342 and got 8 home runs. Well, how come you're not pushing an outfielder back this summer? Fields are about the same dimensions approximately. Well, I'm not doing as well. I'm not in the groove yet. You know.
It's interesting. I've seen a number of guys just following their statistics through the year have gotten better now that the season's almost over. And I just wonder if that's because they finally adjusted to better pitchers every night. It took them all summer to make those adjustments, and
All
now
of
that the
that.
season's over.
And they got the number one nagger. They joke about it, you know. Gotta go back, never go back. But I wanted to say that. I wanted to do that. And hopefully, yes, they do get better, and they adjust for a lot of different reasons. I'm not taking the credit for a lot of different reasons. They make the adjustments. They hear about things I say over and over. You can't take your head out and swing the bat so your head ends over there,
Right.
looking. You know, watch some of our hitters, right-hand hitters. After they swung and missed, take a look to see where their eyes are focused. Not on the pitcher anymore. They're looking almost into the dugout here.
Uh-huh.
And they've opened up that whole shoulder.
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing left here. They're just dragging the bat through. Nothing's happening. Are you ready for the action now?
I'm it's ready. I told Al he might get every pitch over his head. I couldn't guarantee how
Well, we're
accurate,
gonna
but
throw. We're gonna throw very easily, just like this,
okay.
at about 30 feet, and we're behind an L screen. It's sitting over there.
Okay.
Let's go over there and start out. This is the test. You know how you have the class for 2 weeks?
Okay.
Now you have the test.
Boy, that
And after a half-hour instruction, you should know all about how to do it. And you know what most of us do? We follow a pattern we call habit, the path of least resistance. In order to overcome the path of least resistance, you have to find out what the right thing is to do and repeat it.
Right.
A law of learning is repetition. A law of learning is repetition.
Mm-hmm.
How many times? For some people, maybe 3,000, 4,000.
Times as it takes.
Yes.
I,
And who has the time? Who wants to do that? That's monotony.